So Frodo Baggins's journey from Rivendell with the Fellowship of the Ring to Mount Doom, Golgotha, is the life of Jesus Christ from the date of his birth to the date of his death. So you see here how Tolkien, following on in the medieval tradition of which he knew so well, manages to convey such a deep theological depth and breadth. And in the next session, we'll be talking more about Christ figures in the Lord of the Rings. But just to conclude this particular session, I want to talk about Frodo Baggins as a Christ figure. And what does that mean? So Tolkien is much more subtle than C.S. Lewis, and I love them both. But if you've read the Chronicles of Narnia, Aslan is always a figure of the Son of God in all 7 stories at all times. That's who he is. In Tolkien, there are various characters who remind us of Christ in various aspects, various manifestations of who they are. And we'll talk about it in the next session, but this includes obviously Frodo Baggins as the ring bearer, but also Gandalf emerges as a Christ figure, Aragorn emerges as a Christ figure, and there's even another surprising Christ figure, which I will leave till next time. But you see, none of them are Christ. Frodo is always Frodo. He's never Christ. But he reminds us of Christ in certain attributes, certain facets of his character. Same with Gandalf, same with Aragorn. This is what Tolkien calls applicability, which he distinguishes from allegory. So we could say more about allegory, and perhaps should at some point, but this is probably not the time. But allegory in the broadest sense of the word just means a thing that speaks of something else. So every word I am speaking now is allegorical. If you don't speak English, you don't understand a word I'm saying. You have to be able to speak the language, read the signs, or hear the signs in this case, in order to be able to understand what I'm saying. So every single word, if I say the word dog and you speak English, you will have in your mind the image of a 4-legged canine animal. If I reverse those letters and spell God, you'll have hopefully a different image in your mind. So that's allegory at that level. So, of course, Tolkien's a philologist. He's a linguist. He knows that everything's allegorical in that sense. So when he says he dislikes allegory, he's talking about, where, for instance, the constellation of philosophy, that philosophy is Lady Philosophy. She has no character, no personality. She's just a beautiful woman who symbolizes philosophy itself. That's what Tolkien doesn't like. There's no character in The Lord of the Rings like that. There's no character in The Lord of the Rings even as unsubtle as Aslan. But we see Christ in several characters in certain aspects of who they are.